A domestic violence call in western Minnesota that changed the course of so many lives. Pope County Deputy Josh Owen responded to that scene when tragedy struck. Deputy Owen died on his 44th birthday. For the first time, his partner is speaking out on that tragic night and about his unwavering commitment to keeping his community safe. Next. Pope County Deputy Brody Merrill is my guest. He is the Minnesota 100 Club's Peace Officer First Responder of the Year. First of all, congratulations on the much-deserved award, and thank you for your service. We appreciate it all so much.
Thank you, Liz. Appreciate it.
Now, I know that this sadly, though, has to be an award I'm sure that you didn't even want to win after what happened on April 15th, the night that you helped to save more lives from being lost. You were shot, we know, yourself. I know it certainly has to be difficult to talk about, but take us back and share what you can, Brody, about that call that turned so tragic.
Yeah, me and Josh were partners about 3 years at that point. Saturday came around, I checked on. Josh was the 6 o'clock car. Josh had a pretty unique routine when he came to work. It was always check on, come in the office, have a cup of coffee, talk with the guys. And then it was always home for lunch with Shannon and Rylan. Shortly after, he had left, it was like 15 minutes. I was in the deputy's room and got the call of, it was a third-party call of a domestic. Basically, somebody else called it in that they believed a domestic was occurring in Cyrus. And I responded. I began heading that way, and I know Starbuck Officer Alex Olson acknowledged the call for service, and he began heading to Cyrus as well. He was a couple minutes ahead of me, and I was running lights and sirens, and then Josh was a couple minutes behind me. And it's a 20-mile drive from Glenwood, so I know Alex got on scene first, and he advised he was code 4 after being there for a few minutes, which in cop terms mean everything's fine. So I cut my lights and sirens, and then just kind of, just went into the apartment, or went on scene, got to the apartment, and saw Alex was in there talking with both of them, trying to figure out what was going on. And then, I went in and asked the female party to come with me, and I went and interviewed her down the hallway, just in the utility room, and just got the basic facts, tried to figure out what happened, and ultimately determined that there was a crime that was committed, arrestable offense. So I told her we're gonna take him into custody. And at this point, Josh had been on scene for a few minutes, and he was with the male party in the apartment, and so I told her just to hang tight there. I'll be right back with her and get more of a story from her, and walked into the apartment, told him he was under arrest, and that's when shots were fired. And it was that whole call was very routine, and I don't like to use the word routine, but there was no red flags. It was just a routine call, but it was a routine call that turned into a deadly force situation in about 2 seconds.
So this Brian Nygaard fires first after they tell him that he's under arrest. Then he starts shooting. You're shot yourself, I know, hit in the chest, and then that Starbuck police officer, he's hit in the ankle. It must just be chaos that ensues.
Yeah, it's definitely a nightmare. I never thought I'd be put into a situation like that, but yeah, it's you don't even, you prepare for it in trainings. We have good trainers where we work, and they emphasize, just kind of being alert, watching your surroundings, looking for signs. But, there was none of that in this situation. It was just blink of an eye. You had to make that decision. And
ultimately, Deputy Owen is struck, and then I know you're there performing CPR on your partner, and I know that you guys had a really tight bond, and he wanted to partner with you. You're a bit of a younger guy, but Shannon Owen has said that he thought the world of you and really enjoyed working with you. But I know this is also a very rural area as this is all unfolding too. That you talk about that. I just can't even imagine this excruciating wait for help in all of this.
Yeah, I did do CPR on Josh, and it did feel like forever. They always talk about you're tired, how it's tiring, exhausting, and it is. But in that moment, I didn't feel, I felt like I had one thing to do, and our local communities, those smaller rural areas, there's a lot of first responders that volunteer. When the shots fired call was given to dispatch, first responders were paged within seconds, so as well as the ambulance. We have an incredible ambulance service in Glenwood. They were quick, fast. I mean, it felt, it should have feel like half an hour, but I swear they were there in minutes. So it's credit to the responders for answering that call, and kind of the Glacier Ridge ambulance, they went above and beyond to get people there. We had a lot of ambulance people there, a lot of medical people. For me, Josh, Alex, the suspect, or sorry, not the suspect, but the other male party involved. And so, yeah, it was just it's kind of and it's hard for me to kind of speak on, rural policing. I know I'm in a rural area, but our bosses do a fantastic job of getting us newer equipment, resources. So we have good stuff. We have good training. Everyone does a good job at making sure that we're prepared to do the job where we're at. So it's hard for me, to explain, because I don't have anything to complain about or any issues with rural policing. We all work really well together. We have good partners, good guys, and like I said, our bosses are supportive.
You talk about this training, Brody, but I think no matter how much you prepare, you can't even imagine those moments you're having with Deputy Owen there. And I know you shared a bit about this before, but what you're telling him in those moments, I'm sure it's something you probably still can't get out of your mind, even months later.
Yeah, me and Josh, we did have a special bond together. It was, you spend more time with the guy, with him than do your own family. And so, yeah, me and Josh were super close. Overall, it was extremely difficult having to see Josh in that state.
Brody, you knew it was bad, but what was incredible is the amount of work that went into saving his life. Everyone gave it their all that night.
Yeah, no, everyone definitely, people stepped up to the plate. People did good things that night. Responding agencies from neighboring agencies were there within minutes too. And obviously these guys are responding to a call nobody wants to respond to. But yeah, there was people that did a lot of good things that night too. And unfortunately the weather, I believe that night was kind of snowy, maybe icy. I can't even honestly remember, but I know that they weren't able to get a helicopter just due to the weather conditions. So we did have to go by ground. And that's, that'd be the only thing, I guess, as far as rural policing. It's those, we're an hour away from a trauma center. And those extra miles, minutes can mean life or death for, anyone that needs that serious care right then and there. So,
which also goes to show that the dangers of the job that I think a lot of people don't consider on a day in, day out basis. I know there's been just an incredible amount of support shown by your community for Deputy Owen, his family. Of course, he left behind a wife and a young son in the wake of all of this. Just talk about that. What's it been like to see and experience that support?
Yeah, the support in Glenwood it's been crazy, the amount of people that came out to support. We're 6 or 7 months out, 6 months, almost nearly 7 months out. And I've been working night shift the last 6 weeks, and you still drive around in the night and you still see those blue lights out in the distance. You see a lot of flags. going and filling up gas in your squad cars. It seems like people are coming up to you and starting conversation, thanking you for your service. There's definitely a lot more support out there, especially in Glenwood too, but the community, yeah, they stepped up to the plate. I know they've helped Shannon out a lot and Josh's family, and we still get baked goodies dropped off at the office from people still. The support has definitely helped us get through, and I know we feel it. I mean, it does give you that moral boost to kind of keep pushing forward, so.
That's wonderful to hear. In July, I wanted to mention the Pope County attorney determined your actions were justified that night, saying, quote, in reviewing the body camera footage of Deputy Merrill, Deputy Owen, and Officer Olson, it appears that the officers were entirely unaware that the suspect possessed a firearm until he produced it when instructed to stand up. Deputy Merrill was left with no alternative but to discharge his department-issued firearm in response to the deadly threat. Deputies Owen and Merrill acted quickly and heroically to neutralize the threat and avert what could have been an even more tremendous loss to our community. I understand you always wanted to go back to the job after this tragedy. Why is that? And talk about why you felt this calling in the first place to protect and serve, Brody.
Yeah, so for me, I guess starting from a young age, it was a calling. My mom worked at the local police department, so I got really involved with the police officers and knew a lot of them growing up, and had some police officers in the family. So yeah, for me it was a calling. It's something I always wanted to do, give back, serve. I like making a positive impact, on people, and whether that's potentially the worst day of their lives or the best day of their lives, just being able to be there to try to make a positive on the worst day of their lives, and boost or add another positive on the best day of their lives. So I take that seriously. I try to do the job. I don't go out there looking to bring people to jail. I don't go out there looking to wreck people's lives. I just try to do the job with integrity. And so after the incident, it crossed my mind. It was like, why am I doing this? Like, is it worth it? I have a fiance. I'm getting married to an event, in the next couple weeks. So I questioned it, but ultimately I was led back to Josh wouldn't want me to quit. It would have been devastating on top of an already devastating situation. And I just didn't want that incident to wreck two lives, I guess. It took Josh's life from us. And if as hard as it was to come back and, kind of regain my footing and feel confident, that took time. But yeah, just coming back, it was a no-brainer. I got to do it, and I'm glad I did. And like I said, I still after that, I still couldn't see myself doing anything different. So
Josh's death is one of 5 lives in law enforcement in our area, cut short in less than a 100-day time period this year. That includes 3 Wisconsin police officers, a Fargo police officer. From where you sit, Brody, what turns this around?
I don't know exactly what would turn it around. I like the idea of them citizen police academies. I think people should, go and sign up and do one, and kind of be put in our shoes, and see the decisions we have to make, and, like the emotions you got to deal with on people. And I think, just people getting more involved, and just go see what it's about. Those Citizens Academy, and I've heard are a great thing. I've had friends that have done them. But I think it just kind of it really opened people's eyes to, to understand, the decisions we got to make, all the, protocols and the criteria you got to meet before you can do certain things. And, sometimes all that stuff, criteria, protocol, and, sometimes you got to process in your brain in a fraction of a second and be able to make a decision that could change your life forever and someone else's. And you got to do that like that. So it's, I think that, that's one thing I think would be good. And, I think getting more police officers back on the street, as far as, I know numbers are down all over the state, but I think you put more cops and squad cars patrolling neighborhoods, I would like to think that would make a difference. But I know I'd like to see a turnaround, and just for, all of us working still and all the guys that are coming through tech school, and I'd like to see some more positives coming out of law enforcement for sure, to kind of keep guys around and keep guys coming in. So
yeah, I think you speak for all of us. We all want this to turn around. On that note, too, I spoke with Josh's widow Shannon about this in May. One tough woman, as you know, by the way. She was very candid talking about how Josh would say he was afraid of doing something wrong, ending up in jail, and just that pressure that it seems law enforcement seems to feel nowadays that they didn't years before.
I think it's going to speak to everyone. Everyone's worried. Everyone's all worried, after all the events that what could happen. We all have families that we want to go home to, and we're all just going out there trying to do our best and make a difference. And we hate to say it, but unfortunately there is incidents where we do get put in these situations where we get put in these high situations where we got to make these decisions and these extremely difficult decisions, and nobody wants to go through it. I certainly didn't want to experience this, and I know Josh didn't either. So, but yeah, it's just confusion. But I don't know. Josh was a warrior. He never had. I don't think he was scared to do the job. But I'm sure it was in his head that he had a family at home, Shannon and Rylan, and I don't think that he necessarily wanted to end up making a bad mistake and put himself in a situation that could have landed him in jail. I know that. I think it speaks for everyone.
Yeah, and you're forced to make these decisions, as you've said, in seconds, sometimes fractions of a second. You're also being recognized for this award because of the work you're doing now. Just talk more about that. You're educating other officers after all of this. You've sort of been told to tell your story. It's kind of helped in your healing process as well.
6-7 months out, and I've certainly with guys in the office, I've talked to them not so much about the incident, but just what I learned that night, and what I learned that night, and how certain things I saw. I'd like to tell my story, and once everything's all kind of finalized, I'd like to use my experience to help, whether that's up and coming law enforcement students or help guys who've been on the job for a while. But just I think I learned a lot of things that night, important things, and I'd definitely like to utilize it to, whether it be save another officer's life or just look out for certain things. But I think just kind of put in the heads of officers that are working that this, if it happens where I work, it can happen anywhere, and it's quick. I mean, you can't prepare for it. You'd like to prepare for it, you try to prepare for it, but when it happens, it's almost unreal. I mean, how quick it happens. In your head, it's really, when it's happening, it seems like forever, but when you go back and watch and think about it, it's a fraction of a second. So yeah, eventually, I know I've tried, my thing right now is just being a positive impact. From what I went through, I just want to use my experience to, whether that's a morale boost for the guys, just trying to be a pillar for guys that, go through something similar, something critical situation that, you can pull through it. That's what I'm trying to do now, is be a boost for everyone and just kind of be a pillar. And, you can go through this and you can still come out the other side. If you seek help and seek the proper stuff, you can still come out of it a stronger person. And like I said, just now it's just focus. Once I'm ready and people are ready, I'd like to use my experience to, like I said, just help others out with it. So
I think your partner and friend Josh would certainly be proud of that. I wanted to mention, Brody, for those who aren't familiar with the Minnesota 100 Club. It's a nonprofit that provides emergency financial assistance to first responders who are killed or critically injured in the line of duty. And this year alone, more than $200,000 has been given to the families of Minnesota first responders. You'll find more information about the organization on our website. But again, Deputy Brody Merrill, we want to say congratulations on this recognition. Please stay safe. And again, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Liz. I appreciate the work you do for us.
That will do it for this episode of Liz Collin Reports. We'll see you next time.